Alright, so hello and welcome. So in this video we're going to start, we're going to find a piece of concept and we're going to create a blockout geometry to end up with something similar to this in the end. Okay, so to start with, we're going to grab our concept. So our concept, we can find this, our concept, by simply going to Pinterest. I'm just doing this off on another screen real quick. Alright, and we'll do something like I just typed in sci-fi hallway, and we can check on concept art, spaceship, all these other kind of tags here. But so what I want you to do is go and find a concept. So for the concept, or for the main reference, I want you to find an image where you can kind of commit to the shape of the structure. Okay, so what's the structure? Well, the structure is going to be the floors, the walls, the ceiling, and the pillars. So in this case, we can, let's try to open this. See where this takes us. Okay, not bad, not bad. What is this? It's like stretched, or is that a different concept? Okay, so cool. So this looks like it's a different concept altogether. So this is a more of a stretched hallway, and this is a more of a narrow hallway. I kind of prefer this one better, but let's just open this image in its own tab. And okay, so for here we've got our floors. We can kind of clearly see what our floor looks like. We don't have really a shot of the ceiling, but that's okay. We've got our wall here, and I would call our wall kind of this thing in here, right? And then we've got these pillars, which are kind of here, these little C-shaped things here, right? So floor, wall, pillars, and a ceiling we can pretty much figure out from here. Okay, so you all are more than welcome to find any kind of reference or concept that you like. It also does not have to be sci-fi. We can do creepy hallway. If we're going for some type of a, kind of a Resident Evil type feel, or let's just do, we're gonna try to look for something that's a little more intricate. I don't want to just do like something like this because it's just walls and a floor. It's not interesting at all. This isn't really. This isn't too interesting either. So let's do like mansion hallway. Okay, something like, these are a bit more opulent. We've got some floors, some walls, some ceilings. We've got these elements. Okay, so for the start, for this blockout, we're going to be concerned with the floor, the ceiling, the walls, and the pillars. So whatever you pick out has got to have those elements in it. And then along with that, we're going to need some extra elements later on down the line. So sci-fi hallway is a pretty good term to search, and we can get a lot. And you can see the one I picked. Now, I do not want you to do the one that I picked. Okay, that's the only kind of caveat I've got here, is that you cannot do the one I picked. So the one I picked is from this Epic Games here, and we'll see that in a moment. So here it is. There are two images for this that I found. So this kind of straight hallway, and this. Now you can see that the kind of finished piece, or not, it's not finished by any means. There's still quite a bit unfinished about this at the moment, but this is very different from this. Okay, and that's because again, I'm just looking at this and I want the shapes of my walls, my pillars, my floors, and my ceilings, and some of the assets in here. Now I can go back to my reference and I can just do sci-fi. Okay, sci-fi, and even, you know, if I want concept, maybe. And we're gonna get all kinds of things, but then let's just do like interiors, because I'm looking for interior stuff. So if I'm gonna make a door for my scene, I might find this door and be like, okay, this is a great door. I want to make this door in my scene. It doesn't have to be, you know, the door from my main reference image. If I want to come back and whatever, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, oh cool, I like this pipe, or I like that pipe, or I like the details on the wall or the paneling on the floor. We can have all of this kind of supporting concept to support us, or even if we're like, all right, I really like my main scene, but I like these walls better. You know, you can do that. Okay, I don't want to restrict you. I want to leave this open. I want you guys to do what you want to do. Here's some great kind of panels here. Modular panels, kind of a pillar, a corner pillar, all this stuff. So anyways, that's that. So let's get to our concept, or our reference here, our main reference, and let's start to figure out the building blocks for this scene. So the first thing I'm going to start with is, I don't know, let's establish what a character's height would be. So in Unreal, if I just do a quick search for Unreal character height, it's going to be 180, it says here 180 to 192 units. I think this is the old, let's see. The marketplace template character is 192, which is about 6'4". The default character generated by the art rigging tools in Maya is 180. Yeah, either one. Any of these work. So roughly 6 foot, I think is about 180. And let's just do this. So foot to, we do meters. I guess I want centimeter, but let's just do 6 foot is 1.82 meters. Okay, so 182 meters, 183 meters really, or 180 meters. Let's just keep it 180 meters, centimeters rather. 180 centimeters is 6 foot. Okay, so let's get into Maya. Okay, and I can simply create a cylinder, and you'll see that my cylinder is tiny compared to my grid. So let's go over the grid first. Okay, so here's the default. Right, here's pretty much default Maya. So Maya's in centimeters, Unreal's in centimeters. The thing is that Maya creates the height here, it's 2, and that's 2 centimeters. Okay, so if I type in 180, we'll see how big that is, and that's 6 foot tall. Okay, so radius, let's do like a radius of 40. That's roughly a character's size. So now my grid's kind of gone, right, just within this character here. So let's get a grid that actually can help us out. So I'm going to go to display, going to go to grid, display, grid, options, here we go. Alright, so the length and width I'm going to set to 1000. I'll hit apply, and it's just going to draw my grid out 1,000 units, or 1,000 centimeters. I want grid lines every, I'm going to drop a 0. So I started out with 1,000, so let's do 100. So we're going to get grid lines every 100, and I'm going to set this subdivisions to 1 right now, so we see our grid lines every 100. So every 100 centimeters is 1 meter. So this is a meter. If I go into here, we can see that our character is roughly 2 meters, and we're 1.8 meters, right? So that looks about right. So the next thing I want to do is I want centimeters. Okay, so I want a grid line every 10 centimeters. So I'm going to crank this up to 10. So real simple. We start off with 1,000, and we drop a 0 every time I go down. 100, 10, hit apply, And then I'm also going to make sure my axis is black because I think by default mine is like all gray, and this doesn't really give me anything but the 10 centimeter grid right now. So I'm going to pull my axis, make it black, and then I'm going to pull my subdivision line to the right and make it light gray. Let's do that the other way. Let's grab this one to the right, make that light gray. So my light gray grid lines are meter grids. The black is the kind of axis, and then my darker gray lines are 10 centimeters. Okay, so throw my pivot down to here. I'll just place my character up there like so. And let's frame up here. So we've got positive x is this way, negative x is that way, and positive y is up. Okay, so let's go back to our concept. I'm going to assume that maybe my a character walking down this hallway would roughly, their head would be around here. Okay, so from here to the floor is about where I would put a 6 foot tall character. So in this space, I'm going to take this, and we can, let's print screen this real quick, and let's open up Photoshop. Alright, it's opening on the other monitor here. And let's do new. Let's paste the clipboard. Oh, that wasn't it. So, oh yeah, sorry. And let's paste the image in here. Okay, here we go. Got my other monitor here. This dual monitor thing here. Let's clear this. I'm just cropping. This really doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm snapping. It really doesn't matter. So fit on the screen. So here's my reference. Okay. So I'm gonna make a new layer, and we'll just grab a brush here, and we'll say character. Is there. Alright, so there's my character. Okay, so if I need to figure out the height of my wall, I'm going to approximate this to 2 meters, which is 6 feet. Okay, so this is, we'll say this roughly 6 foot tall. Yeah, so I can take this character and I'll pop it on top of my other character. And if I follow this line up to about here, I'm kind of looking at this where the pillar, because this center piece here is kind of blocking the other side. But if I follow this line up and over, I'm about, our ceiling is about 12 feet tall. Okay, so the other thing I can do now is I can take this character and let's figure out the length of the hallway. So I'm just going to go ahead and rotate this guy, and I'm going to try to line them up with these kind of perspective lines here. And I'll put, and let's put it at the base of the pillar here. So let's say that's good. And I'll duplicate another one. Okay, we're there. That's about 12 feet. And 6, 12, 18. That's kind of pillar to pillar, even though this line actually, I don't think this was right. So let's rotate this. My perspective is kind of wrong here, so straighten those out. We're roughly about we're right, or close-ish anyways. So here, this line really should meet up with this line. If I start over here at this pillar, it should end at that pillar, but whatever. This is about 18 feet, about 20 foot if I go from wall to wall. Okay, but you can see what I'm doing. I'm just getting some type of guide here, some type of reference, and we're kind of quickly blocking out these numbers for our wall and our floor and our pillar and such. I'm also going to pay attention to the shape of this rectangle here, because this is kind of the proportion of my hallway. So with this kind of basic information, let's start. Let's make a floor that's about 20 feet wide, and a wall or the ceiling is about so what did we say, 12 foot, so 12 by 20. I'll also keep this open here, right? So I said 20 feet is 6 meters, right? Roughly 6 meters. And we had 12 foot there is 3.65. Let's, I'd probably do, I'd round this to 4, either 4 or 3.5. So 4 is 13.1, so that'd be 13 feet. Yeah. So let's get back into Maya. All right. So I'm going to create a floor first. So my floor, I'm just going to go with kind of a. I know that I want my thickness or my height of the floor to be about. Let's do 40. Okay, so that's roughly going to be the thickness of my floor. The width we said was 20 feet, which was, I already forget, 6 meters. Okay, so instead of 6 meters, we're in centimeters, so I'm going to type in 600. Okay, and then, yeah, so the length, that's about, the length of my floor, that's all going to depend. But let's take the length from kind of pillar to pillar. So if I lay that down, maybe that's, these all seem a bit different, but let's say our character's 6 foot. If I lay a character down there, I don't know, we could try 6 feet, which is going to be 2 meters, just 200 centimeters. But that's, I don't like that. That's too thin. So let's double this to 4. Okay. All right. So let's say here's my character. This is the floor from here to here. I think we need to be wider, honestly, but we're going to get this in. This is the whole point of the blockout. We're going to figure all this stuff out right here in the blockout. So I'm simply going to put my pivot to the top of the floor and then drop that down to the 0. Okay. All right, and let's go and we'll make our wall now. So we said we know our width here is, the depth here is 400. So let's create another cube, and we're going to do width 400, height 12 feet, so that's 3 meters. No, that's 4 meters. Right, did we say that? And then the depth, we'll do 40. 40 I'm thinking is, that's fine. That's fine for now. Alright, so here's my wall. So I'm going to put my pivot in the front corner, and I'm going to snap this to my floor here. And then I'm going to hold down J and rotate back 90 degrees. And there is our wall. Now, one thing with the wall is I measured kind of from here to the ceiling, right? And the ceiling is all the way kind of up here. But we've really got this wall and then this piece that comes over like this angled piece. So 6, 7, 8. That's roughly, maybe 8 feet. I don't know. So let's actually take this. Let's take the height. We're at 400, so let's do 300. 300 for the height, and then we'll do another 100 or so for the curved piece. Alright, so we've got 400 by 300 by 40 for this piece. Let's make another one, and we'll do 400 by 100 by 40. Okay, I'll lift this up, pivot in the corner, snap the pivot, rotate back holding J. Right, we've got our two pieces here. So I'll also hold down J and rotate this about 60 degrees. And we're going to notice that we're just shy of 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 6, 9, 12. That's 12 meters here. So we could rotate this guy. Is there going to be any number that gets it right on the grid? No. That's close. Nope, nope, nope. Right there. On the inside. Let's keep going. Let's rotate this guy back. Oosh, that's quite a bit there. Alright, it doesn't really matter, right? We're rough estimating this. This will be fine. Here, let's just do this. Okay, I'm going to get this as close here as possible, as close to this meter grid. And then I am simply going to, let's move this pivot. I'm going to hold down X and we're going to snap back to here. And I'll hold down X and snap to that. So we are on at least on this grid point here. Okay. Now notice I'm making sure that these top faces line up, but I'm not concerned about these exterior faces. Okay, and this is because I'm not going to be concerned with the back right now. Okay, so this is looking okay. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. I'll duplicate our wall back here. I'll hit J and rotate that, and then we'll do the same. Duplicate this guy, move it back here, rotate it. Why can't I reset? Reset. No. What's going on here? Reset. Okay. Whoa. Okay, let's save this. Alright. I should be able to just click out here holding down D and reset this transform, or this there we go. I'll just freeze my transforms. Should have just done that to begin with. Alright, rotate this. Okay, so now we've got these arch pieces, and now I can simply duplicate Y. Hold on. Control D. Okay. And I'm going to snap this. Here, let's bring this up. Snap my pivot to the bottom of the ceiling, and then snap this to this here. So then I can grab these verts, snap those, snap those. Okay, so here we go. And this is not looking right. Okay, and this is kind of the whole point of what I want to kind of show, right? We use our concept here. We kind of rough out some sizes, but this is definitely not this shape. Okay, so the wall is probably a bit taller. This angled piece is a bit shorter, and the hallway needs to be much wider. Now, if I go into my camera settings and I've got my angle of view, Unreal's angle of view, or field of view, FOV, is 90. Okay, so remember, this hallway now looks and feels a whole lot wider than it did before. Okay, the focal length of Maya was like 35. Right, I believe that's what it was by default. And now my hallway doesn't feel as wide. So these are things we need to consider. And me just kind of knowing that, I can just, just even still, right? This ceiling piece from here to somewhere over here just is too small. Okay. So a couple things. I either need to kind of move this guy in, then I can kind of do this again. So let's duplicate this guy, put him over here, freeze his transforms, rotate like so, grab these, snap those. Feels better. That actually feels better. Again, I'm okay with this. Okay, so next, let's get a pillar in here. So looking at our pillar, we've got this pillar, and I'm just going to get kind of a simple shape for my pillar at the moment. The pillar kind of comes up, and I'm really going to be concerned with this base, right? If we see the base of the pillar just kind of comes up and stops at the ceiling. That's all I'm going to really kind of stops at this piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pieces here. I'm going to freeze their transforms. And actually, I don't need to freeze their transforms. I'm going to duplicate them. So I've got two. Right, but before I move these off, I'm going to freeze their transforms. And I'll even, let's combine this just so it's one piece. I think the transforms get frozen automatically when we do a combine. And then I'm going to pull this off for kind of a reference. Okay. Then the reason I want to do this is I'm going to take these two faces, I'm going to delete everything else. Alright, I'll merge these verts so I can throw in an edge loop, because if I go and I try to throw in an edge loop right now, it's only going to go up to there because these vertices aren't merged. So let's merge these verts. Alright, great. Whoops. Merge verts. Next, I don't even need to throw in an edge loop here, but I could throw in two edge loops, right, and kind of use this as my pillar. I can grab these faces now and extrude, and I can give this some thickness. Thickness. Okay, so I can kind of figure, let's see, what do we want the thickness to be? Maybe something like this. And I'm kind of looking at the base, the wall of here, right? And where this base pillar sticks out, it's only a couple, I say a little couple inches. It's not too much. So something like this will be good. And then I can simply delete the excess. Okay, so before I said I didn't even need to throw in these edge loops was, I didn't. Okay, really what I could have done is just used this, right? And kind of scaled this in. Let's say let's keep these, I'll make these kind of nice and thin. And then extrude this, thickness, let's just leave it at 10. 10 works for me. Now I'm going to go in my side views and just make sure that everything on this pillar is looking nice and straight. This didn't get like, that these lines are perfectly nice and straight. That geometry there didn't get too messed up. Okay, so now I'm going to snap my pivot to the bottom, and I'm going to snap it to the back. So my pivot's at the center, bottom, and back because I want to be able to snap this to the front center of my wall. Because when I duplicate my walls, like so, I want to be able to duplicate my pillar as well and place it on the seam of these two walls. Okay, so there's the two seams. I've got my pillar kind of covering up the seam there. Okay, so I think for blocking out, we are pretty good. So next, we're going to go over naming. So next, we're going to go over naming my meshes and exporting them. All right, so let's start with the floor. So the naming convention is going to be SM underscore. SM stands for static mesh, underscore, and we're just going to start to name these things. So floor, I'm going to have more floors, so I'll name it floor 01. And that'll be good. Now the pivot, I need my pivot somewhere that's going to make sense. Now this is the floor, so I want the top face of my floor to actually land on the grid. So I'm good right here. So my pivot I want on the top of this. Now whether I want this in the center, which is on a grid, all right, it's actually this thing that is not on the grid. Let's get our character on the grid. I want it on a grid point. Now, I could also place it over here because, yeah, that's an option too. And I'm actually going to place it over here. I like it in the corner. That way I kind of know that I've placed my pivot in the front top left corner. So when I'm in Unreal, I kind of know where you know, front top left that's going to be. So I'll set my Maya pivot there, and that'll be good for now. All right, so next, let's go for our wall. So the wall's already where it's supposed to be. Okay, I want the wall to snap to the floor. It's on a grid point, and it's on the front of the wall and bottom left corner. Okay, so that's actually good for that. Next, we'll go with this, and already same thing. Front, bottom, left corner, because this is going to snap to my wall piece. All right, and then lastly, we've got the ceiling, and let's keep it the same. I'm going to do bottom because this is a ceiling. Okay, so bottom, left, and then front. So we've got that there. All right, and then lastly, the pillar. So the pillar is going to be different. I don't want to place the pillar on the front left because that's going to allow me to snap it and it'll be like in the wall. Okay, but I do want it to be centered. So let's center this. Okay, I'm going to place the pivot all the way at the back and all the way at the bottom. And again, I'll snap this to my wall. Okay, and it's going to sit right on top of my wall, and it's going to line up perfectly. Now, while I was placing those pivots, I forgot to name this stuff. So SM underscore wall. We'll just do wall 01, and then this will be SM underscore wall underscore 02. SM underscore ceiling, and SM underscore pillar, and you know, oftentimes we can make multiple pillars, so we'll do multiple pillars. Now these kind of extra pieces I don't want to name, I don't need to name, because I'm going to kick these out into Unreal and we're going to start to place these. But before we do that, let's go over the game exporter. So I'm going to go File, Game Exporter, and let me reset this. Model default. I don't know how to reset this. So let's just go over the settings that we want. Alright, first thing, export all. I'm going to change this to export selection. Okay. Under my geometry tab, I want to make sure smoothing groups is turned on and nothing else. Okay. Under my settings, I'm going to change it from export to single file to export to multiple files. And then the very most important thing is move to origin. So quickly, let me explain. Unreal, any other 3D software, the only thing that 3D software knows about other 3D software is the 0, 0. Okay, the absolute zero of the coordinate system. Okay, quickly, I'm changing my camera settings because I'm getting this nasty looking aliasing or whatever. So I hit my camera settings here. I changed my near clip plane to 1, and I added 2 zeros to my far clip plane. And you can see what that did. If I go 0.1, you can see everything's looking kind of aliased and nasty. The 2 zeros isn't really going to matter right now, but I know that this will matter later on. When I'm building larger kind of worlds, I won't be able to see things far off in the far clip plane. Is going to clip those out. So let's set that back to 1. Much better. Okay. So again, the 0, 0, which is right here. Okay. Now, if I were to grab this and just do File Export Selection, what is going to happen is that even though Maya's pivot is set here, the actual pivot of this thing is the 0, 0. So right now, my pivot would be as if I hit reset pivot and I snapped it to the 0, 0. It would move it from there to over here. Okay, now that's not that big of a deal, but if I take my ceiling now my pivot isn't here. My pivot is going to be down here. So now if I try to, rotate this, it's going to rotate about this 0, 0 and not, about itself or wherever I meant to place the pivot. Let's make sure we've got our pivot set properly. Again, pivot. So you're not set. So let's get you set right there. So move to origin. What that does is this will take my mesh. Okay, I'm going to delete our standing character for now. It goes ahead and exports it. But before it exports it, it moves it to the origin, or to 0, 0, exports it out, then basically undoes and goes right back to where it was. And it's going to do that for everything. It's going to take this, it's going to move to origin, export, undo. Same here, same here. It's going to move to origin, export, undo. Okay, so when you're in here further along down in the pipeline, you're going to do something, and let's say you just, you want this, and you combine these. Okay, we'll hit combine. So combine, and now my pivot moved. So what happens now when I go ahead and I export this thing, whatever it was, what was it? I combined something, didn't I? This, yep. So it's going to export it. When I hit export, it's going to export. It's going to move it to the origin, and then undo it. So it's going to move that pivot, or if it doesn't move to origin, if I don't have move to origin on, what's going to happen is this is gonna be at my 0, 0, and it's just going to export here. So the pivot is now going to be the origin. Okay, so let's undo this. So again, very important that we have on move to origin. So let's check that on. Up axis is Y, that's fine. File type, that's fine. 2018 FBX version. At the moment, Unreal is suggesting that 2018 be used. In the future, that can change. Always check out the Unreal doc. So let's do that. So UE4 FBX. Sure, import. Why not? Let's get rid of import. So I want to look for the documentation. and I know that it's called pipeline FBX static mesh pipeline doc. So let's go to here. Okay, and right here in red, we see the UE4 FBX import pipeline uses FBX 2018. Using a different version during export may result in incompatibilities. Okay, so this is the case right now. And if we move to 3ds Max, it's the same exact thing. So always check this. And again, this is a great resource for FBX. This goes over everything. We'll reference this page later on. We'll see here that we've got smoothing groups, smooth mesh, and triangulate turned on. Let's see. The export, choose a content folder, enter a name, set up your exports, click export all. Why is that saying to use those things? Anyways, we're going to just have on smoothing groups because I know with triangulate we get an error by having smoothing groups and triangulate turned on. But this should be fine for now. So you'll see, if I grab this here, we have this smwallow1.fbx. If I grab this, we have our pillar. P cubes, we need to name this. I thought we did. Oh, you know what? But we, what did we do? There we go. We changed the name. We grouped it. Alright, so all my stuff is named. Ceiling, floor, all this. That's all great. So now I'm going to simply grab all of these guys. I'm going to hit export. But before I do that, let's choose a directory. So let's go desktop. Let's make ourselves a folder called GA3. Not GP, GA3. Okay, we'll dump them in there. And we'll hit export. Okay, it's going to export all of those. I'm going to go to my desktop now. I have no file explorer. So let's go. Desktop. GA3, and okay, we've got an issue here. Export selection. What was P? All right, let's delete these guys. Let's delete all of them real quick, and let's see what the error was. So I'm gonna delete this and delete that, and I don't know what these extra things were. Let's turn off our grid so I can kind of see. So floor, pillar, wall, pillar, pcubate. Okay, so let's change you. smwallow2. What's going on? I've got two of them there. There we go. Yep, I duplicated some stuff. There we go. That was it. That was the culprit. So let's just move all this stuff real quick just to make sure we don't have anything on top of anything. Alright, so now grab it all, hit export, go to our file. There we go. Ceiling, floor, flue. Okay, I don't want that name that, so let's fix that. Floor 01, and we'll simply just export that, and now we've got floor 01. Okay, so in Unreal, let's create a new project. All right, let's close you down. All right, so I'm going to go to Unreal Engine. We're going to go to Library. I've got 422.3, which is the latest release. If I go to install 423, we'll see it says Preview next to it. I do not recommend using Preview builds. I recommend using the latest full release, which at this point is 422.3. Okay. Always update if you have an engine version that has an update. Always update that. That means that they've done bug fixes. Okay, but as far as preview builds, you can use preview builds, but they're will be bugs, and we cannot be held accountable for that. So let's go ahead and we'll just hit launch. All right, so two things to consider upon making your first Unreal project is what game type do you want. So we're going to go to New Project, and I'm going to make sure I'm selecting the Blueprints dropdown. This should be the default. I don't know why, honestly, that opened in Unreal Studio, but it did. And really, it's first person or third person. Okay, so if you want a character to run around and the camera to follow behind you, you can pick third person, or if you want to shoot little yellow Nerf balls all into your scene, choose first person. So I'm going to choose first person, and we'll just call this GA3. That'll be fine for myself. No starter content is fine with me. It doesn't matter, with or without, either way. We can do with. Maximum quality, desktop console. You'll see where this saves to, and we'll go ahead and hit create. Alright, so here we are. We open to the first person template. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, if I hit play, there we go. I'm running around, jumping, spacebar. If you've got a controller set up, an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller, you can use those controllers, but there it is. All this functionality is set up in this first person template. Okay, so this is great, but I don't want this. So I'll do File, New Level, and I'll pick this default level because I want some light in here. Normally I choose empty level because I'll make all this stuff from scratch, but let's do default. So we've got a sun, a sky, essentially. We've got some atmospheric fog, and we've got a player start. This is going to be needed, so when I hit play, I start from that player start. Okay, makes sense. It's called a player start. Now this floor I don't need, so I'll delete that. Alright, so down here I've got my content browser. Okay, this is where all of my content is going to be, and it looks like I messed up my UI there, so let's hit reset. Actually, let's not. Why can't I get this? Let's do this. And then let's pull this guy off, and then drop that guy back there. There we go. This is similar to what we had. Alright, so content browser, this is where all your content is going to be. This is going to be your kind of folder structure. Okay, I'm going to hit this little arrow and lines to show my tree view. You don't need to do that. We can just double click, and as we get in here, this is where I'm at. I'm in content, first person, maps. Okay, but I am not a big fan of this kind of backwards and click on that to go here and that to go there. I prefer to look at it here and expand things and such. So we've got our content folder. This holds all of our content. Right now we see this engine content. I've got that turned on. You will not. So to turn that on, we can select the view options, and we can hit show engine content. I'm going to turn this off though, so you so I'm seeing exactly what you would see on default. So in my content folder, I can create a new folder. So let's just add new folder, and I'll hit add new folder, and I'm just going to name this folder my name. So my name is Dustin Tinkler. I can't have any spaces in here, so I can either make it one full kind of run-on word, or I can give it an underscore. It just depends on how you want to do it. Right? We see this first person, it's just capitalized, and they're right next to each other. So let's keep with that. All right, so in my folder, now we'll create a couple other folders if we want, and we can let's just add another folder, and let's call geometry, or let's just do this. Let's call static meshes. Okay, SM, static meshes, and we'll go inside of here. So now we're in content, Dustin Tinkler, static meshes. Let's go ahead and import. I can import a few ways. I can hit import, and it's going to import into wherever I am in the content browser, or wherever I am in the content browser, I can simply right click and import. The other way, and quite frankly, probably the easiest way, is I can simply drag and drop. So those are the 3 different ways to import content. Sometimes drag and drop, I said it was the easiest, but oh, it is working. Sometimes it doesn't work, or sometimes you can think it's not working because it's hidden. Let's reset this to default, even though I don't think that resets to default, because yeah, I'm not really sure what that does. So I'll go through some of these settings. So it's going to import this current asset, right? So right now it's game, Dustin Tinkler static meshes, and it's going to import. And we're looking at the SM ceiling. Okay. Auto-generate collision is turned on by default. That's fine. If I expand under my mesh, we have some extra options. Really, just note that generate light map UVs is in here. This will be used later on, and having this on by default is fine. Combined meshes is unchecked. If we were to grab a few meshes, or we had our meshes separated and needed them to be combined into one static mesh, this is where we would do that. Everything else, the default stuff, is perfectly fine. I just want to show you that this is in there. Miscellaneous, convert scene. This is going to take the scene from Maya coordinates, put it into FBX coordinates. Now the import is going to take the FBX coordinates and convert them back to Unreal. So we've got a nice little translation going on here. Force front axis, so this is going to convert the scene from FBX coordinate to UE4 coordinate with the front X axis instead of the negative Y axis. So I'll turn that on. It doesn't really matter. But convert scene units, convert scene from FBX unit to UE4 centimeter. We were in centimeter. We planned for centimeter. We don't need to do this. I don't need to do any of the things that I just did. But force front axis, x-axis is fine. And override full name, that's fine, underneath there. Next, under material, we've got import textures. Material import method, create new materials, create new instance materials, do not create materials. I'm going to turn off import textures. I don't have any textures on this thing. I didn't assign any textures, and right now it would just import Lambert 1. Well, let's just do it. Why not? Or let's leave it at default. It's going to import Lambert 1, and we'll see our Lambert 1 material. Invert normal maps. We're not even talking about normal maps right now, so not even going to worry about this. File creator, FBX, plugin version 2019. That's interesting. We told it 2018, but maybe this is just saying that I'm using, well, I don't know. Alright, so let's hit import. And now this is fine for our ceiling. It's also fine for everything else. So if I hit import, we're just going to go on to the next floor 01. But I don't want to do that. I want to do the same for all of them. Okay, so here's all my stuff. Alright, and so now I can simply drag these things in one by one. And look at that. My pivot is messed up, okay, because when I was talking, we moved the pivot, and the pivot it didn't work. So actually, what in the world is happening? None of this stuff. Well, that was there, but no, we set the front corner. Okay, all my pivots are messed up. This is fine, no problem though. Move to origin. We didn't have move to origin turned on. Okay, so here's the thing. Right, doing this now and like trying to get my wall to line up with my floor is now going to be a monumental nightmare, and just not gonna be good. Okay, so we need to make sure those pivots are good. So let's export, re-export all those out with the correct pivots, and now simply all I need to do is select all of them, re-import, and all their pivots now are correct. Okay, I'll go ahead and delete these all here, and I'll just drag all of my stuff in there. Or actually, let's start this one by one. So let's start with the floor. Drag the floor in. Okay, so there's the floor. Remember that we're front, top, left corner. So this is what I would consider my front. Now I can zero out the location so that this goes to 0, 0 of Unreal. Okay, and we're just going to start at the center of Unreal. So next I'll bring out my wall, and I can hit 0, 0, and it's going to put it right there. And then I can simply hit spacebar to switch. I could also hit W to go to move, E to go to rotate, and R to go to scale. Or I can hit up here, move, rotate, and scale. So spacebar, rotate this guy, bring out my wall 2. I can, again, 0 that out and move this up to the top, hit spacebar, rotate that. Why is my wall... Why is that not rotated? Wall 02, wall 02. Okay, let's freeze transforms. That's probably what it was. My transforms weren't frozen. Always delete history, freeze transforms. Do not center your pivots. That will mess up all your pivots. Okay, so again, re-export all those back in here. Simply drag them all, re-import, and this should. Oh, look at that! They all were messed up. Okay, because of those transforms. So definitely we need to pay attention and need to freeze our transforms and delete our history. Okay, now ceiling. There we go. Not everything, just ceiling. So I'll dump this in wherever, hit center. I'm gonna kind of move that up to there. Okay, now we have an issue. So, what is this? Let's reset the rotation on there. And let's check. Okay, so we'll isolate this stuff. Okay, this. Aha! Okay, so. No, this was on a grid, wasn't it? No, this was not on the grid. I don't know. I thought that we did that. I must have undone something here. So this is going to mess up quite a bit. This is why it is very important to get this blockout working perfectly. So what I want is I need this to be on a grid. I need this to be on the grid. So I'm going to go to my closest grid. Let's actually undo that. I'm going to hold X and go in there, and we'll make sure that that's good and there. Now I know that this side is going to end up being right there. All right. So now we just need to take this and let's put the pivot here. Okay, and we'll snap that to there and there. And then let's do the same thing for this. I'm going to put my pivot to this. Nope, sorry. Let's put it to this vert, and then we'll move it there. And there we should be okay. And then when I duplicate this over here and I rotate this way and hold X, there we go. Yep, that fits perfectly there. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4 meters wide. Got our pivot there. So let's re-kick out these two. Okay, and I'm just going to re-import all of them. And there we go. Now we are nice and watertight. Okay, so let's get the other side. All right, so I'm going to grab these two here. And a really awesome thing with Unreal is I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm just going to drag. And if I let go of Alt and then hold Alt again, let go, hold again, let go, hold again, I duplicate really quickly. Okay. So let's delete these because we don't need those. Let's grab these two, and we are going to move them to there, and then rotate them 180 degrees. and move them back. So also, another really cool thing is that what I'm doing right now. So I can just go over here and just move this, right? But you'll notice that my camera didn't move with me. But if I, you know, and like, all right, I need this to line up perfectly with the bottom here. I'm going to kind of get my camera in place. I'm just going to hold Shift and move. And whenever I hold Shift, the camera moves with my selection. I can, at any point, let go of Shift, hold Shift, let go of Shift, hold Shift, let go of Shift, hold Shift. I'm never letting go of left click at this point, but just Shift and such. So, really awesome. All right, there we go. Okay, so I've got this here. Lastly, let's go ahead and we'll grab a pillar. So I'll grab a pillar and get it close. And yeah, it snapped it there for me perfectly. At least perfectly against the wall. Now let's go here. We're good there. So I'm going to simply Alt drag off, hit the space bar, rotate this around 180 degrees, hit W. I want to make sure that that back lines up there, so I'll hold Shift to move the camera with it. And we're golden. Okay, so let's duplicate some of these hallways. If we look at our concept, you know, we've got 1, 2, 3, you know, 1, 2, 3. You know, we've got about 3 of these guys down, and we can make the hallway as long as we want. But let's do that. So I'll go over here to my static mesh actors, and I'll just hold Shift and grab them all. Okay. I will also hold Alt and move. Okay. And I'll hold Shift to move the camera with until we're closed up like so. Okay. So let's do the same. Let's go in here. I'm going to hold Alt and Shift and click and drag out. All right. We've got 3. 1, 2, 3. The last thing I need is just another set of pillars to cap off the end here. So I'll hold down Alt, move the camera with it, and there we go. Alright, so we've got a blockout. So next what I could do is let's make the corner or the turn. Alright, so I'm going to grab all of these and I'm going to hit this button up here and I'm going to go into my top view. Okay, I'm going to hold Alt and I'll just grab here and move off like this. And yeah, then I'll hit spacebar. I'll rotate this guy 90 degrees and then I'll kind of move it over here. And I'm going to move it into place something like this, right? Where the backs of my walls here are kind of meeting up. Or I mean, I could try to move them so the pillars there are meeting up. Let's go into 3D and see what's actually happening here. I can tell you right now, lining them up with the pillar like that is not going to be good. And I don't even think this is lined up, which... yeah, the pillar doesn't land on the grid, so that's definitely not something to line up with. The backs of my walls, right, this is my wall right here. If we go into our 3D view, we'll see that that's my wall piece right there. And I'm just going to line those guys up there. Okay, so that was really quick and simple. So let's do that again to complete our cube here, or our hallway. So again, I'll just grab these and move them. I'm going to hit spacebar, rotate it whatever degrees that was, and let's move this there, and then roughly there. I'm going to zoom in just to make sure we're good on the grid. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's grab my player start, move this guy over. I want to make sure that he's actually on a thing here, and then I can simply hit play. So now when I play, I've got this, and I can try to jump over to there. I'm not going to make it. but I'm gonna fall forever. Okay, and that's due to collision. So I'll simply click on something and hit F to frame back up here. And why didn't I do this? So if I hit show collision, here you go. We can see why we didn't make it. These little volumes right here, I've got what's called like a bounding box collision, and because these pillars are shaped like this, it kind of made a really messed up collision. So I'll double click on it. Oh, not going to wireframe. Let's go simple collision, and here's our collision. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take collision. I'm going to hit remove collision. Now we don't have collision on this thing. That can be fine. So again, I'll just hit play, and I can probably make this jump now. Yep, no problem. I mean, if I am not colliding with that pillar, I am colliding with the wall and the floor and those things. So that is not an issue right now. So we could leave it like that. But let's say we did need to collide for it for whatever reason. Let's open it back up by double clicking. So I'm going to go collision, add simplified box collision. So here we go. And we're kind of presented with the same issue. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply click on my collision, and now I have access to move, scale, and rotate. Now the scale is stepping quite drastically. So to turn off this scale snapping, I'm going to simply check this orange box here. Now when I grab this scale, I've got this kind of more finite control. So same thing with the snap. We're kind of snapping, so I'll just turn off that snapping. I'm going to get this in here nice and tight. If it's not perfect, that's fine. I mean, I just need to collide with something. And if this is good enough, then it's good enough. You know, that will work. Do I need to collide with that? Not really. At least not at the moment, I don't. Okay, so now let's close this, and we can see now that my collision has been updated. Okay, there's the collision, the box collision sticking out of that guy. Here's another one with a kind of a funky collision. If I do collision, simple collision, you know, we see we've got this. So again, I can do collision, remove collision, collision, add box simplified. I can now scale this guy like so, rotate it 50. Man, I thought I rotated that thing. Oh yeah, 60 degrees. That's fine. So now we can scale this like so, and we'll scale it up here like so. Again, if it's not perfect, it's fine. This is just collision. So once I pull this off, we can see that even as I make these adjustments, it's kind of live and happening for every single instance of my wall O2 there in the scene. Okay, so we'll close that out, and that'll save that. All right, so I'm going to hit show collision. We'll turn off collision once again. All right, so one last thing, I do want to go and show. Let's just edit something here. So let's take our floor. We'll do a floor thing real quick, and let's say we'll model up this floor a bit. So if I look at my reference, the floor is pretty flat, but whatever. I'm just going to make up some stuff here. So let's go into insert edge loop. I'm going to turn on multiple edge loops just so I've got some kind of 2 by 2 stuff. So we'll give ourselves something there, and insert edge loop. Let's add something else in there, and let's see. All right, we'll give ourselves a couple layers here. So let's grab these, and we will extrude this stuff up. So extrude that up a bit, and then let's just grab these and extrude that up a little bit. All right, so nothing fancy at all. We'll add another edge loop here, and we'll give ourselves kind of like a drain or something. That would be down the center. Just delete those edges, delete this edge, delete that edge, and just to just to stay watertight for the moment, I'll kind of delete that stuff, or not delete, but add that stuff there. Okay, so we've got this. Let's fancy this up just a little bit. Let's grab all these edges here, and we will hit bevel. I don't know if I went over this with this fraction, right? So let's say that we need. This is actually working out okay. But if I take this pi and I change this fraction, and then I go and move any of these settings, this changes my stepping. If you see, I'm stepping now from 0.5 to 1, so it's like a half step. Whereas if I click this pi again, and now I'm at 0.5 and I do one step, I'm 0.501. Do another step, 0.502. So this gives me really finite stepping there. So let's just do something like this. I just wanted to point out that pi there that controls the stepping of those settings. All right, cool. So yeah, whatever. This is great. We've got a super awesome floor here. So yeah, real quick, we'll just export this guy out, and then I can simply come back to Unreal, and I'll grab my floor and just right-click on that and re-import. Now, what in the world? What did I do? Okay, my pivot for some reason got moved. So I'm going to move my pivot back here. History, transforms, export, and now we'll re-import and everything will be fine. But I wanted to show you that's how quick we can get in here and iterate. Okay, you know, that's why the importance of getting this stuff in as soon as possible, and then we can start to iterate on it as soon as possible. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to make some corner pieces because I don't have any corner pieces right now. So back in Maya, I'm going to do what we did before. So let's take all this, and I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to combine it. And let's put our pivot down here in the corner, and then let's just move this guy. Shift D should have duplicated with the transform, but it didn't for some reason. Alright, so I've got this. So next, I'll just duplicate this guy real quick, move him off, combine him as one, and put the pivot down there. And I'm just doing this in Maya for ease, kind of ease of use here. So now we'll go into our top view. Alright, let's get rid of this. And yeah, so I'll rotate this guy. I'm going to rotate it back this way, and then we'll hold down X, so we're snapping. And we snapped and we lined up the bottom here. So I believe, yeah, it was like that. So the back wall and this wall match up. So now we need to make some corner pieces. Okay, we've got an inside corner, I've got an outside corner. You know, depending on the shape that I want to make, we need to make some extra static meshes. So let's start with the corner here, and we can duplicate our pillar and get our pillar over there so it's in place just like it would be. Alright, so let's create a cube, and let's just bring a cube somewhat over here. Now our floor is real easy. Alright, so I'll just snap my floor kind of to here, and then snap it to there, snap this out to there, snap that out to there, and snap that to there. Alright, next I can take the bottom, snap it. Alright, so we've got a floor. Now, if I want this shape to be like that, that's fine. If I want, you know, it to look like that, maybe that's fine. Or if I want to bevel this edge and make it look like that, or whatever, right? Like, This is going to be up to you. So if I make it this way, I'm going to need to make, well, sure, let's do it something like this. So now I would probably need to make another wall piece. Alright, so let's take our wall piece over here. No, that's not right. That's right. Let's snap that to there. And then let's pull this to here. I'll actually move my pivot to there. Alright, and I'll take this wall and look at that. That's not even, what did I do here? Let's snap that to there. We got to make sure we're snapped properly. Alright, there we go. Snap to there. Okay, so I'll turn on my wireframe here. And yeah, so what I would need to do is really snap this kind of to there. So I've got my wall piece that would go and be kind of my straight piece. But then I've got this curved piece. So with this curved piece, I'll duplicate this. I'm going to freeze my transform so this is zeroed out. Then I'll pull this off to the side. Okay. Next, I'll grab these edges that make up this turn. I'll shift, right click, extrude, hit W. I'm going to hold down V to snap to vert. So I've got the correct height of my wall there. Next, I'll grab these faces, shift, grab the other faces, delete. Turn off my wireframe here, or wireframe on shaded. And I've got some shading issues. These should be softened, so I'll soften those edges. So now I've got this nice, nice corner. Now, to get it back to here, yeah, I could simply move my pivot over here and then snap that right to there, and that would and will snap perfectly. But because I froze my transforms, right, I can just zero this out, and this will snap back exactly where it was. Okay, so let's grab these faces here. Let's extrude, and we'll give some thickness backward here. I'm going to go kind of as close as possible. Let's maybe look in top view here. And yeah, that's pretty close to the thickness. I'm not too concerned with it being perfect, because I will now come in and snap this here and snap that there. And I would do the same thing to the other side, although I would need a guide. So let's duplicate this, snap that to there, rotate that that way. Alright, we'll take this edge and we will snap this to there and to there, making sure it's perfect. Now, I'll isolate this. One big issue, if I have on backface culling, this is inside out. Okay, because I extruded inward, but no problem. I'm going to hold down spacebar. I'm going to go to mesh display. I'm going to hit reverse for my normals. Now my normals are good, and we are good to go. Okay, so that's how we can make that piece. So my ceiling, you know, I'd have to make the same things for this stuff over there. Whatever I do, whatever I decide to do, I'm going to need to make all of the other elements. Okay. Lastly, let's make our little corner piece here for this corner. So we've got, what do we have? All right. I'm just going to take these, I'll freeze these transforms and just move them down, just so I've got kind of space here to look at this. Alright, this helps me see a bit better. Okay. Yeah, so I need a corner pillar or a corner wall piece. So let's just make a cube. Thought that I do. Oh, I did, but I turned it into the floor. So let's make another cube. Let's bring it over here. Scale it up arbitrarily. So that's oh, we were way off down there. Okay, cube, small cube. There we go. We don't need a giant cube. We just need something over here. Alright, so I'm going to fill in the space in between these two pillars. So I know I'm going to have pillars here. So let's do that. Let's grab this face. I'm going to snap it to kind of this pillar here. Let's grab this face, snap it to that pillar. We'll take the height and snap it up to there, and we'll take the bottom, and we're already on the floor, so that's good. Next, let's take this and we'll snap it back to where the pillar piece sticks out, and we'll do the same thing for this. Snap that out to there. So I've got this little filler piece. Now, if I wanted this to be a, to fill in between the two like so, this would work out fine. Again, depending on the shape and what we want to do with this, depends on what we do. So I would probably bevel this, give it a few segments. We can make it a nice turn here, like so. Soften these edges, and we've got a nice rounded corner. Again, depending on what I want to do. If I want this to stick out from my pillar at all, for some reason we can extrude it, and I don't know, have it stick out if need be. If we needed some, just depends on what we're trying to do with this corner. So let's keep this. Sure, we'll keep it like this, but I'm not gonna do this beveling of the corner just yet. All right, there we go. So let's do the next one. So I will center this pivot. I'm going to put my pivot at the bottom here. Alright, then I'll duplicate this guy up top, like so, and we'll bring these down to something. And actually, let's do this. Let's delete this edge. Okay, so let's just make this corner cornered like that. Okay, so I'll do the same thing. Here, let's delete this. This is just going to be easier. Actually, no. Let's do this. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to rotate this 45 degrees. Okay, so we're rotated 45 degrees. So I'm going to just take these and isolate this stuff for right now so you can see what I'm doing. And now I'm simply going to take these verts and just put them in the corners here. Okay, very similar piece, but now we've got this more kind of a fitted wedge. And this is going to fit up perfectly with our piece there. This being angled like that, I don't want this, so I'm going to move these down so they're flat there. I guess it really doesn't really matter. So let's just do this. Let's call this SM pillar underscore corner. All right. Freeze our transforms. Delete our history. Duplicate this, move it up to the top. We're going to do the same. So I'll bring my my verts down here, and let's snap U to U and U to U, and then U to U and U to U. All right, just to stay. I mean, we could either put this up here. What's this going to do? Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so SM pillar corner underscore top. All right, now pivots. So for the pivot, I want to snap this thing to this, because right now if I look at this, yeah, we are not on the grid at all, but our corners are. So let's snap you there, and we'll do the same thing. Snap you there. Okay, so we have got corners, some walls. So let's do this. Let's put you, let's isolate you. Let's put your pivot over here. History transforms. SM floor, I don't know, O2. Did I name? I've got some duplicates floor. So let's just do floor, corner. Alright, we've got our wall, wall corner here. And again, it doesn't matter where this thing is because I am snapped and I know that it was built to the grid. So we're going to stick with the front left. So there's the front left. So SM wall, corner, straight. All right, and then we've got, let's do the same, front left, SM wall, corner. Alright, we'll pull this guy up here. So we need to get these things in. My ceiling, I'm just going to reuse the floor for the ceiling. So let's grab all of our new pieces. Okay, hopefully they're all named properly. History, transforms, game exporter, hit the export. Let's check those folders, corner, corner top, wall corner, corner straight. Alright, great. Looks like everything came. So we can grab these and get them in Unreal. So I can again drag and drop, and then I'm going to click on my window. Everything's good. Import all. Uh-oh, SM corner has degenerate tangent bases, which will result in incorrect shading. So our wall corner has some issues. So let's go back to here, and what is it? This guy, wall corner. So I'm pretty sure I probably just have to merge these verts, and we can re-export, and we'll probably be okay. Okay. And then let's re-import, and we've still, let's do this, wall corner. Let's delete. The only way to know is to actually delete it and bring it back in. Okay, degenerate. All right, so let's get to this. So I'm going to go to mesh cleanup. So mesh cleanup. Oh. Mesh cleanup options, edit, reset. I'm going to select matching polygons, and I'm going to go through all of these. None of this stuff matters for the error that I'm getting. I'm going to check lamina faces, and I've got no lamina faces. Okay, so I'm going to uncheck that. Check on non-manifold geometry. So we look okay for non-manifold. Let's do normals in geometry, geometry only. Okay, that looks fine. Let's turn that off. Edges with 0 length. Now this is what I think, I thought it said that we had, maybe its faces was 0. Faces with 0 map area. Okay, so this is it. Weird. We extruded, so this has to do with our UVs, and they've got no map there. That's not a concern right now because that's not something we're doing or we have tackled yet, but whatever, it's given us the error. Let's hit auto map, and so now we've got all of our geometry has UV has map area. Okay, And so now when I hit that again, we're fine. So we're good. Let's close this out. Let's game export this thing. Game exporter. Hit OK, OK. And just to be sure, we'll delete it. Corner, import, boom, nothing. All right, great. So let's do floor. Where the heck did our floor go? Okay, I guess we didn't do our floor. So floor corner, export, okay. Floor corner. All right, there we go. Dang it. Let's reset that. Let's turn on my snap. All right, and move it here. 180. Snap it into place. And we're good. Okay, so I'll just shift. Move that. Looking good. Honestly, the easiest way to do this is over here. And there we go. We are good. Honestly, I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done all that work, because that was a waste. So next, let's do pillar corner. All right, and let's get our pillar over here in place. Okay, and this was kind of like this. Now, I don't know if we were on the grid or not. Also, what was that rotation? We might be not good here. Let's zero out our rotations. I don't think there's anywhere to snap to this because we didn't put it to the grid. So here, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to hold down V. I'm going to snap this. And the snapping here is very sensitive. This is why we do not want to rely on this snapping. Okay, so we snap to that. And it looks like a rotation of 90. All right, there we go. That worked. Okay. Pillar top. Again, I'm going to hold down V and hold on that guy there. Should be able to rotate 90, and that work. That doesn't look right. Didn't we have that snap? Yeah, that should be snapping perfectly. What's going on here? History, freeze transforms, export. maybe my pillar is not in the correct location. Although, looks like it is. Okay, I'm not sure what the issue is right now, but let's move on. So we've got our wall corner straight. Okay, which I said is a front left. So this should kind of close up with the back here. All right, and so I'll connect another one. Oh God. Like here, and just make sure that's done. Oh man, I forgot to Alt duplicate it. No worries though. Alright, here we go. And then we've got our wall corner, which should go there. Close right in. Okay, now we'll just take our floor and move it up, and that could work for right now. So, yeah, like I said, I shouldn't have done this yet. Because I can just take all these guys alright, and let's just make sure that that is indeed all the pieces, which it is. Alright, and let's go into our top view, and we'll just Alt duplicate that, and do the same. For that. Okay, now we can hit play, and we can run around our our corridor. Now I can build, you know, T sections or four-way connections. Build whatever I want to extend the length of the hallways. I can open up onto larger rooms. I obviously would need to, make a top piece for this. But this is kind of how we go about blocking out our scene.